Hi, welcome back to Grit Gym. Today's Wednesday, and before I get into the show, before I get into the presentation that we're going to go, which is really just to hook you in just a little bit, so that because I hope that you stick around for this. It's really the deep down the bones of this is really about ignorance, and not in a negative sense. I'm going to challenge the status quo's way of how we view ignorance, and I'm going to give a new perspective on it. But before we get into that, July 21st, Hills Access, we're going to, it's a bring your own, so BYO flotation device. Bring your own flotation device. Paddleboard is Rachel and I are going to be on two different paddleboards, and then everybody else is going to be on canoes, paddleboards, kayaks. I would not bring an inner tube. I do not think an inner tube is probably a very good idea. Plus, it's really, really slow compared to all the other people's devices that they're going to go down with. But it should be a really good time. We've got food. You can bring food and you can bring drinks with you. But we're gonna head out. It's a Saturday morning, so we're gonna meet there at 10:30, and then we're gonna head out there from there. But anyway, today's show, what are we talking about today? Before I should have mentioned, please like, share, comment below, click the share, slap the share button, send this out to everybody that you know, ask them what their perspective is on this thing. And like I said, it's a little bit about ignorance, but I don't really want to spend time on that word, because I do believe that on some level, by the time we're done with this, I'm going to plant an idea in your head that we are all ignorant on some level. Okay, we're all ignorant, and I'll be the first to admit I am ignorant to certain things. Like I am ignorant. You are ignorant to what I ate for breakfast this morning, just like I am ignorant to what you ate for breakfast this morning. So really, what this is about is what you think you know, what you think you don't know, and what you don't know that you don't even know. And we're going to get into that here as we go along. But really, one of the ways that I use in the cost of, I'm changing from the cost of curiosity to the cost of courage because I found out that there's a copyright law. But in the book, the way that I'm eliciting this is, if you can imagine when you were in fourth grade, a bunch of fourth graders, and you are the only fourth grader that knows how to do algebra. You're the only fourth grader that knows how to do algebra, and you write up on the board 2 + A = 5, and you wrote up there and you said, okay, what does A equal? All the other fourth graders are going to look at you and they're going to laugh. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? There's no letters in arithmetic. You're such a weirdo. You're such a crazy person. You're stupid, right? Even though you knew something that they didn't know, you would still be labeled the idiot, right? Now, this is an adult speaking for little kids. Who knows? Maybe this class is a little bit more enlightened, and they're not a bunch of bullies like like certain groups of kids. But it is not too far-fetched that kid would get ganged up on, that he would get looked at like he was stupid because he knew something that everybody else didn't. Okay, everybody else was ignorant to what this kid knew. And there is something to this about knowledge without wisdom is pretty dangerous. I get into these conversations a lot because I don't really know a lot about a lot of things. Inside the strength and conditioning world, inside the mindset world, inside I could even call myself questionable in the nutrition world. I do not consider myself an expert of nutrition. I do not consider myself, I think I'm it depends on who I'm comparing myself to, but really, can you even imagine? Yes, can you? Excuse me. But I think I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I'm a movement specialist. That is my expertise. Along the way, I've learned a great deal about mindset, a great deal about recovery, because you cannot have strength and conditioning without recovery. There's no benefit. There's no magic. There's no time for you to actually acquire the thing that made it great. You know, you put an imposed demand upon the body, and your body gives you all the magic during the recovery. It's when you recover that you lose all the fat. It's during the recovery that you gain all the muscle. It's during the recovery that you gain all the strength. That's when the magic happens. So you have to be an expert of both of these, and I think that's where my expertise lies. I would say that I'm pretty well versed in nutrition. I would not call myself an expert in nutrition. Most of the people out there that are calling themselves experts of whatever their field is, usually like most of the time, like they're questionable at best, especially when they say that they're an expert about a bunch of different things. I am an expert on strength and conditioning. That's my main thing. So I'm ignorant to a lot of different things in the knowledge category, but I've learned enough about mindset and had a lot of things challenged. I've hired coaches to teach me their perspectives and challenge my own perspectives, and I've done a lot of work in this category. So I think that I've learned from their wisdom. I'm not calling it my wisdom. I learned from their wisdom, but I don't have a lot of knowledge, right? Outside of strength and conditioning, not a lot of knowledge. So once in a while, I'll run into somebody that has like mountains of knowledge. They can just bury me with knowledge on in discussions that we want to talk about and different things. Now, there's something very, very dangerous about having, not dangerous in a good way, a lot of knowledge with a low amount of wisdom. That can be dangerous. That is just like the algebra anecdote that I just gave a little bit ago. If you're the only fourth grader that knows how to do algebra, you will get, and you write 2 plus A equals 5, and you say, what does A equal? They will not answer 3. They will make fun of you because, or it's possible that they'll make fun of you because you didn't know that letters don't go into arithmetic, that it should only be numbers up there. But really, you knew a little bit more than they did. So that's where the ignorance things come in. So I want you to think about what you think you know, like the amount of information that you know. And let's take out the perspective that can you really know anything. 10 years ago, I would have told you that every single person needs more ankle mobility. Well, that's not altogether true. I run into every once in a while, maybe one a year, maybe one every other year. Someone will come in with just magnificent ankle mobility, just tons of dorsiflexion, and it's fantastic. So that would prove that wrong, right? That person doesn't need to hammer on their ankle mobility. They already have enough. So what I thought I knew was not actually real. But let's take that out of the equation. What you think you know, what you think you have a very good handle on. Now, if we step back a second, we start to analyze this. The amount that you learn from 0 to 4 years old will be greater. The amount that you learned in that time, the amount that you grew to know, the knowledge that you acquired in that time will be greater than the sum of the rest of your life combined. So from 0 to 4, you will amass more knowledge and more wisdom than you will from 4 to 100. You will amass more knowledge. So that's a perspective to keep in mind. Now go a step further. What you think you don't know. Well, what you think you don't know, I mean, if we sum all of the information that we have in the entire world, you know, the phone is kind of an amazing thing because we have access to almost all, 99.999% of all known information in the world is at the tips of your fingers. That was almost like a Stanley Kubrick thing. At the tips of your fingers, and for the majority of that, I don't know what it all is. I don't even if I lived a bunch of different lifetimes, I couldn't learn the majority of it. Like all of us, like we have a ton that we don't know. We have a ton, just this massive amount of information that we don't know. Now take it a step further. How much do you not know that you don't know? Like that's one of those big like trippy questions where I like sit on this and I'm just like, think of how massive this is, the things that we'll learn, the things that we'll get into. One of the perspectives that I was exploring the other day was the idea of math being the universal language. Well, is that actually accurate? Is it accurate that math would be the universal language? Math is a human construct. We made it up to make sense of our environment. Would it be the universal language? And yes, that's how we've made sense of space. That's how we've tried to describe different things that we found in the world and how physics works. And it's a really fantastic tool. I'm not putting math down. I'm a math person. I really, really like math. But at the same time, if we met another species from a different world that was far more intelligent and more advanced than us, would they still be using the same, or they'd probably be using a different number, but would they be using some sort of numbered system? Can we say that that's accurate? I don't know if we can say that that's accurate. What if there's something out there that we don't know, that we don't know, that we don't even know? And it's a pretty cool thing to think about. What if they're the fourth grader that knew algebra, and we don't know algebra yet, and we think that they're stupid because they didn't know that letters don't go in the alphabet, or letters don't go in arithmetic, when they do. Math uses letters. But anyway, so I was thinking about this, and I was really going over this in my head, and I was like trying to make it to scale. And I don't know if you can really put it to scale. Like, can you scale the universe? That's one of the big questions, right? And I was thinking about this in the amount that you know. I think the amount that you know could be maybe equivalent to, like, let's say one bacterium in your small intestine. Let's say it's like one cell. It's like really, really tiny. That's the amount that you know. And if that's the amount that you know, how much do you not know? Well, I imagine that would probably be about the size of your body. There would be that much more information. When you really get into it, there'd be that much more information. And if we look at that, okay, so if how much we know is that one cell of bacterium, and how much we don't know is, we're going to say, is the size of your body, how much information do you not know that you don't even know exists? And if you don't know exists, like, how much could that be ruling your own life? Could it be the size of the entire world in relation to that one microbiome in your small intestine? Could it be the size of the galaxy? Could it be the size of the universe? Is it infinite? I don't know. I don't know what the answer would be, but I would imagine it would be something along those lines. It would be that big, the amount that you don't know, that you don't even know. And I think this gets into, there's a couple things that really make my brain go crazy around this thing. It's how you live your life and what you're ruled by through your truths, your fear-based truths. Not what the objective reality truth, but the fear-based truths that you have and what you how you live your life. So the one truth that I hope that I can grow to accept is that I'm present, and that's enough. That I'm present right here, right now, and that's enough. And that in this moment, I can be a joyful, powerful, lovable person. And I can just be right here. Because from here, I'm unchained from the fear-based truths that I might have. So if I was, like in a relationship, if I was afraid of Rachel abandoning me, for instance, like people have these things. I have abandonment issues. Well, sure, maybe. What are you really afraid of? Like, let's get down and how much are you going to project and push this person away because you have this fear-based truth? And if you challenge this fear-based truth and you break the chains of this thing, are you going to have healthier relationships because of it? Because you took the courage to challenge this thing. In strength and conditioning, I think it's the same way. If you don't think, if it's true to you, if the story that you continually tell yourself is that you're going to be fat and that's how it's always going to be, there's nothing you can do about it. And even if you did get skinny, you just get fat again. Well, you're probably more likely to bring that into reality. You're probably more likely to make yourself correct. And is that accurate? No, like that's not accurate at all. We know that consciously when we think about it, but if we don't sit down and we don't confront it, we don't think about it, and we just keep the chain, the chain of that fear-based truth attached to that story that we tell ourselves all the time, well, then we're just going to end up reliving the whole thing over and over and over again, all because we're too scared to acknowledge what we might not know that we don't even know. And we do this with a lot of different things. We do this with strength and conditioning. We do this with nutrition. This is all a mindset thing. We do this with relationships. Everything that is important to us in our lives, I think that we're going to do this. Everybody is going to have a certain amount of this fear-based truth. And if we don't have the courage to confront that fear-based truth, it's going to rule our lives. And if you're like me, and freedom is one of your just like greatest motivators, I guess you could call it. Like I don't want to be held down by anything. I want to be unchained. I want to unleash myself to be the best version of myself, to be able to do everything that I possibly can and have every experience that I possibly can in this life. Then I've got to have the courage to confront. Alliteration is kind of getting the best of me here. Have the courage to confront that fear-based truth, to break that chain, so that I can be conscious right here, right now, to be a joyful, powerful, lovable person. But I think on some level, you're going to have to get down to that what you don't know that you don't even know. When I first started doing this stuff, where I read a lot of books. I mean, it was in the 20 to 30s on sports psych and psych books and different types of books to roll around to get your head turning. And before I finally was like, you know what, I want to get a coach. I want to map this thing out. I want to see what else is out there. I'm just a little too curious to not go down this avenue. And when I did, everything changed, because all of a sudden, about 6 months to a year in, I was like, man, I remember going into and meeting with that coach and being like, dude, like, I didn't know that this was possible. I didn't know that there was another option to how you live your life. And I think most of us are kind of going down that path where we just kind of live in that certain, and we don't even know that we don't know that we're doing it. And then an emotional experience comes along. For mine, it was a massive amount of pain that I didn't really enjoy. And so I was like, all right, well, let's do something about this. So I did. And then I found out that there's whole other, just outrageous, infinite ways to live life that could be for the better, could be for the worse. So you choose which truths you're going to keep and which ones you're going to drop. And that takes a lot of guts, and it was very, very difficult. But I think that that gets into that ignorance thing. if we can accept that we're ignorant on some level, which we all are, that is a very easy. I don't know what you had for breakfast today. I am ignorant to the fact of what you had for breakfast. You are ignorant to the fact of what I had for breakfast. So we're all ignorant on some level. It's an easy thing to point out. And if we can accept that, then we can look at this thing and be like, okay, what do I know? What don't I know? And what do I not know that I don't even know? And if you can do that, then it's a lot easier to set your ego aside and get coaches and learn from other people and read for understanding instead of reading to argue with the material, or listen to material to understand instead of listening to the material to argue with it. But I think it's much like the algebra anecdote. If you're the only fourth grader that knows algebra, no one else will be able to understand. Majority rule will ensue, and you will be the dumb one, when really you knew a lot. So there is something here about the whole knowledge wisdom thing. I don't know quite where it is, and I don't know how to say it, but I hope that it came through. A lot of knowledge without a lot of wisdom is really dangerous. Whereas the other way around, you can gain knowledge. You can gain wisdom too, just one is a little bit more readily available. The other one takes a little bit more work to wrap your head around. But anyway, hope you guys can join us on July 21st. Make sure that you go over, there's somewhere around here, I don't remember where I am on the page because I don't get to see that, but somewhere around here there's an RSVP button on the website. Also, there's a link there that will take you to the website where you fill out a form, and it just I think it's your name, your number, and maybe what kind of sandwich you want to eat or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, we'll take off July 21st. We'll meet at Hills Access at 10:30. Should be a really good time. Make sure you bring your own flotation device. Otherwise, it's going to be really tough. I wouldn't want to swim that thing. But anyway, thanks for being here, guys. See you tomorrow.